Howdy doody, ladies and gentlemen. And for the first time, welcome to the official Nock Ranch. Yes, we finally did it. We bought some property. All right, so today is bulk moving day. Hoping to get the 2 cars moved over to the new shop. Hopefully some like heavy cabinets, and then also the case skid steer in the back. Hoping to get that over there as well. Actually not hoping. The cars and the skid steer are a necessity. I have to get that done today. I got my trailer hooked up. I got the skid steer over at the other yard, and I have my New Holland here. For the Mercury, I am going to try and start it up and drive it on the trailer. I should be able to, but if you remember, we've got a valve issue. Hear the ticking? So I don't want to run it for too long, but this has been sitting here since that last video was made on this car. Have not started it because I don't want to run it with, the lifter issue that I'm having. Hopefully I could start it up just long enough to get it on the trailer, and then the Jag, which hasn't been on the channel yet, but those of you that are asking for it, we are going to get on that thing. That's the dream car. I want to do it right. I'm sure some of you can relate. The dream car typically sits the longest because you want to put the right amount of time into it and do it the right way. So the Jag will have to be pushed / lifted on the trailer and pushed / lifted off. So that's why I have the skid steer set up. Anyway, let's see if we can get this thing running. I got the battery hooked up. Let's turn the key, see what happens. Okay, I did check oil on both dipsticks and we're good to go there. I am just gonna plan ahead and grab the ether, just give her a little squirt, and hopefully I start to see this filter start filling up with fuel. Digging around in my garage, unveiling some old stuff sitting back there. Forgot I had this mixed gas from honestly, and I am not exaggerating, years ago. I don't know when I mixed this up, but it's at least 3 years old. This thing always liked a little more fuel prime than it did ether anyway, so let's see if I can't just get a little bit in there and see if that gets her going.
No big deal, let's just get a little loose. Get a little loose, come on.
I don't know where my Kirkland bottle is, that's why I'm resorting to this. That was... Ooh, that was way too much. See what happens. Like a top. Like I said, I just wanted to get the fuel going, which I am pumping pretty good now. So I'm gonna shut it off before the tick really starts to set in, and we'll drive it on the trailer. Really no ticking going on, which is nice. Gives me hope for fixing it. Maybe it got some oil pressure. Probably not. Probably just hasn't ran in a while, so it's fixing itself for the time being. But this is a tight door, and I don't really have the best mirrors, so we're gonna see how this goes. Hopefully I won't ruin it. Bumped the wall once. This thing's just so big. Anyway, this is gonna be the home for now. Again, I wish I could keep this garage, but it ain't gonna happen. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to fit the Jag right here. So that's the plan. If I need to squeeze this over just a tad more, I can. I got probably another 8 inches or so, but I think that should be enough space. So we'll see. One down. Let's go get the Jag. There you have it. For the first time in Nock Ranch history, the Jag is outside of the barn. And I say that because at this point there's so much dust on this thing that it's basically another barn find. I've neglected this thing. I hate myself for it, but I promise we will do a full series on this car. Will it run and drive, all that fun stuff. For now, let's just get it on the trailer, get it over to the new shop, nestled into its new spot. Video series on this is soon to come. It's a little nerve-wracking moving this thing around with forks, just because it is a unibody structure. There's no real frame underneath it. So I've got just precautionary measures. I've got a little cone rubber sitting on top of my forks, and then I have a tire strapped to the front. So I'm just gonna take it nice and slow. Let's get it on the trailer and get this thing moved. A lot of up and down here. And this is where they are going to be nestled in for the foreseeable future. But it's dry and it's out of the way, so happy with that. Great success.
Great success.
So, as most of you are well aware, I have been in the market for a piece of land that suits my needs for space.
This is your space. This is your area.
For about 2 years, like 2 solid years, I've really been keeping my eye on the market. What's selling, in what areas, how much land, how much for, yada, yada, yada. But, I mean, I've also been looking, like poking around ever since I bought my first house. Needless to say, it's been a process, and a lot of y'all are, you know, yapping at me in the comments about getting a place that suits the channel's needs and my needs in general. But here we are, we landed on this one. I'll take you for a little walk around tour and give you some info on it. A pretty cool place, as you can tell by the title. It's a little unorthodox, if you will, but unorthodox is perfect for me, as we all know. This house out back is where I'll be living. As you can tell by the state of the garage, it isn't much of a garage. It's a 3-car masonry block, but she pretty tough. All the windows are broken, along with like basement windows and everything, and the door leading in, and that window. The roof has like 15 layers of tarps and Tyvek and
beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, ram.
You name it.
You name it!
And it's, you know, failing foundation-wise. There's cracks all over the block. Shoring, that's rotten. This plywood wall is completely rotted out. It's a piece, is what I'm saying. But that's where I'm gonna slum it for now. The house is about in the same shape, but that's fine with me as long as it's dry, which it's kind of not. The roof leaks pretty bad. When I bought it, you can't tell now, but the gutters were hanging all the way to the ground and the soffit was open and there was a raccoon living in the attic. So still got to get to all that insulation up there that has a bunch of caca all over it. It's pretty rough, but it's good for me for now. Long term, the plans with this here house is to tear down and build new. But again, for me it's perfect because it gives me access to property with utilities already on site and a place that I can hang my head at night and be on site still while I'm saving up and getting the plans and process and everything to build a permanent house here. So like I said, perfectly fine for me. We are set back off the road quite a bit, as you could tell from the intro of me bringing in the truck. That is my private drive. However, I do share it with a couple other neighbors, which is fine. I have future plans for putting in a big gate and some fence line and trees and such to make it a little more private. But let me start with the property. It is 7 acres. However, there is a big asterisk, caveat, whatever you want to call it. It's 7 acres. There are 2 houses, a shop, and a livable trailer. Livable. It's worse than the house. And in order to afford this place, I have to parcel off one of the acres with the shop and the house up front. We'll get to that piece of it, but that's the plan anyway, in order to make the finance, you know what I mean? Make the budget. So basically where you see this drive fork, it goes that way and that way. That way is to the back 40, I call it. There's about a little over 4 acres back there, and to the other way, where the shop and the house are, that is about an acre. And the house is about the same size as this, a little better shape, a little more marketable, but that sits on the street, and I do not want to be on the street. I want to be as far back as possible. Just my preference. I'd rather be private. We are now walking to the back. You could see a little, I'm sure you could see it in the drone footage a little bit, but this tree line here, this is actually a creek. And for those of you that are concerned, don't worry, I was too. I know all about, obviously being in excavation, I know all about FEMA and the flood maps and all that stuff. This is not on the flood map. It is a pretty stagnant creek. I don't want to say stagnant, you know, it doesn't stink or anything. There aren't a bunch of like bugs. It's not standing water. When it rains, it moves, but not much. We'll get over to this part of the property later. This is the creek. See, you could tell. Right now, you know, she ain't moving. We haven't had any rain. Keep in mind, as I take you through this place, you're going to be able to see it needs a ton of work. I mean, it is a pigsty here. As we cross the creek, that brings us into the back 40. This is where all of the activities on the channel are going to take place. Rough shape. I got to get rid of this trailer. There's a bunch of scrap over here. As I was moving out of my old place, I was just packing in all of my stuff. I wasn't organizing very well, but I made do, you know. Got a couple trailers that were left behind, neither one of which are all that dry. Actually, that van trailer, the big one, is dry-ish, but I got to do some patching on the floors, and the doors are completely rotten, so I gotta fix those as well. As you get back here, it's just a bunch of asphalt millings and 2 massive piles of, we'll call it topsoil, although I don't really know exactly what they consist of. If I were to guess, there is one massive pile of topsoil that the previous owners used to screen and sell, And then there is a smaller pile over here of organic material. I guess you'd call it peat, roots, and garbage, basically, that decomposes over time, and you can use it for planting soil and stuff like that if you want to. My plans for these piles of dirt in the long term are to use most of it. I'll take you through the layout here, but the long-term plan is shop, where these trailers are, right where we come across the creek for access. I would like to put my shop and lay down area along that tree line. This side over here, you're probably getting a little discombobulated. Here's where we crossed over right here. This tree line right here is the creek. The house is right there. So along this creek here, headed towards the other side of the property, I would like to have that as pasture for farm animals. We're gonna hit it heavy, start it off with duck first so I can have some eggs. And then long-term plans way down the road. I don't know, something that I don't have to butcher. I am a through and through animal lover. If I had to butcher any sort of animal, I would not be able to do it. So we're gonna have duck, and then maybe something that we can, harvest wool from, like sheep or alpaca, something like that. That would be fun. You'll probably also notice that in the back, or what would be the south side of the property, there is a very active train track, and that's the other big caveat of the place. Actually, I'm not going to say other big. The caveat finance-wise is I have to get rid of some. The caveat as far as how I could afford the property in general is the state of it, as well as the burden of the rail cars. There's a crossing nearby, so you get the horn and you get the noise, but it's tucked pretty far back. They kind of combated the noise with packing up some topsoil and trees and brush in order to kind of soften the sound up a little bit. It is what it is. I mean, I'm gonna get used to it. So yeah, on this side, farm style, the hobby stuff. And along the creek here, what I'd like to do, since the house is right here and the new house will eventually go in the same spot, I'd like to have some sort of light-duty bridge crossing, peel out all of this brush and stuff so I have a view of what's going on back here, and kind of have it more of like walking traffic, whereas the gravel drive going to the shop is more on like the other side of the property and more private, and when visitors are over, they don't have to look at that. They can look at the fun stuff, the duck and sheep or whatever we end up having. Who knows? I might end up having some longhorn or something at some point and just having them as pets. I don't know. That's way down the road. Honestly, I say this as a true statement. I never imagined that I would have this much property. Whenever I was growing up and I was talking about the land that I would hopefully acquire, I always said at least 2 acres, knowing pretty well that I would probably have to settle for less just because of my career path and what I can afford to purchase. I knew I was either going to be way in the boonies and have a good amount of land, or for me personally, I quite enjoy the city life as well, so I want to be close by Cleveland still, which is my home city. And I'm still in a short distance away from Cleveland, so it's a great spot for me. And here I am with what will end up being 6 acres for myself, with some privacy and a little water feature. I'm pig and shit, as they say, is how I'm feeling about this place. So I have my camera propped up on stuff that it shouldn't be. Probably gonna fall. Anyway, I am feeling very grateful for my situation here. I had a lot of help from close friends and family in order to get me moved in here. The reality of my situation, as those of you that are familiar with the channel, you knew the state of my garage, and my house was in about the same shape, where there were a lot of miscellaneous projects that were close to being done but weren't done. And when I looked into buying this place, I knew that I had to immediately sell my house again in order to afford it. So I sold it myself, and in order to make this whole thing happen, I had to simultaneously finish that house and get this one ready to move into. And as you see the state of this house here, it was in rough shape. A lot to do before I could just move on in. So it was a lot of bouncing back and forth. It was about a month and a half, or no, it was 2 months of just sun up, sundown, going to work, staying out here or at the other place until midnight or so, and my body hated me. You know, I just really killed myself for a while in order to get everything done. But I just closed on everything on both houses, and here we are, which is why I am making this video today, because it's my first opportunity that I've been able to. I will take this moment to say I appreciate those of you that, you know, heard me in the last video that I posted. I mentioned that some big things were happening and the videos were going to slow down a little bit. And the reality is, I didn't know it at the time, but it really rang true. I was hoping I was going to have some extra time to post something, but I had zero time. So thank you for those of you that were subscribed and that stuck out this little dry spell with me. But now that I am here, we are going to be hitting it hard and starting the videos back up, and I am so excited to be doing it here. So that just about wraps up the back portion, you know, the main piece of the property, the meat and potatoes. You know, all the future plans for me and you for the channel are all going to happen back here. I'm sure we're going to run into some things that aren't planned or foreseen, but I'm going to take a couple guesses and say that the state of this place, I'm sure we're going to be uncovering some mysteries. With any construction yard, you're going to get some skeletons, literally. You're going to get a lot of stuff that was buried in the ground. I am very much aware of that. With the nature of what I'm buying here, you have family history dating back to what I think was the 40s or 50s, but with that much time of business ownership in the construction world and heavy equipment, I'm sure there's some crap buried under this ground here. We'll see what we find. Speaking of the history of the property, let's get into that really quick. This was a single family that has owned this property. They parceled some off and sold over the years. This was the main yard and shop for their family business. They were in general construction. It was, from what I'm getting from the stories, it was a family of we can do it all type of attitude. Excavation, scrap, dumpster work, general contracting, rental properties, you name it. You name it! It sounds like they really kind of dabbled in it all, and I can definitely respect that. I'm sure there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears wrapped up into this place, and you could tell, the family that I was able to talk to while purchasing the property, nobody was really happy about it. They had to let it go, but all of them are interested to see what I make of this place. Because for the last 5 years or so, it has just been abandoned and let to rot, basically, and it shows. It's in tough shape. With this being a construction yard, the majority of this property is asphalt millings. That is going to be something that I'm going to have to chip away at in time. It's going to take a lot of dozer work, a lot of heavy equipment work, which I am very much looking forward to, in order to get this place dressed up and to the point where I want it to be. All of the equipment work that I plan to do here, just so you know, I'm planning on doing it with equipment that I purchase and save. Some of the stuff where I kind of have to, have immediate attention to, I'll probably beg, borrow, steal from work. So you'll see some newer equipment that isn't mine but I have a project coming up very soon that is actually done at this point and edited, but I have not posted yet. That piece of equipment will be coming to this yard very shortly, and I'm very excited about that, and you should be too. With that, I think that really wraps up this portion of the property. Let's make our way to the fork in the road that leads to the other acre that I will be parceling off and selling, but, big but, not the Kim K kind, but I will be making use of a piece of this property for the time being until I sell it, because you'll see why. There's no way that I couldn't. Welcome. The door doesn't stay up. Welcome to the new semi-permanent but temporary shop for Nock Ranch. And boy, is this going to spoil me for a short amount of time. This is I don't even know the dimensions, but I'm going to guess a 24 by probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 area here, blocked in with gas heat and all the power I would need. Old vintage compressor that we might dig into a little bit. Again, I kind of packed all my stuff in here temporarily, have not even remotely started to unpack or anything like that. And then on this side, we have another door and storage for the Jag, Mercury, and the Harley. You will see all three of these in future videos. For now, they are just being stored in dry storage out of the way, which for me is amazing. It's gonna be incredible having an actual roof over my head for work for the channel. The thing about this shop is it sits on a very key part of the acre that I am parceling off. Yes, I know technically I could parcel this part off of the property that I'm selling, but it just doesn't make sense. This is a huge selling point in the area that I'm in and a huge piece of the value of the house that's up front. And it's so close to the house. I mean, I could spit on the house right there. It is 10 feet away. So it just wouldn't make sense to keep this place. It is unfortunate because, one, there's a lot of history again here, which, as you that are familiar with me know, I am a sucker for family history when it comes to anything mechanical, industrial, stuff like this. Just really gets me going, you know what I mean? It is unfortunate, I gotta get rid of this, but for now, I am absolutely going to use it. I'm hoping, the plan is that 3-car garage up at the house, I'd like to get that dried in and somewhat usable for a temporary time period. Once I sell this piece of the property, I'm hoping to basically take what I get from that and put it for a down payment on a shop in the back and start that process where hopefully it'll be a quick turnaround from shop to shop. But there will be a little, time there where I'm going to be roughing it again. And as you guys know, I'm no stranger to working outside, and it probably won't bother me none. It's just, this is going to spoil me for a little bit for sure. With that is this portion of the property. Again, extremely excited to use this place while I got it. So, let's do some exploring, shall we? Because, again, this was a shop that they ran the business out of, and they had so many people living here at one time. And one of those places that I think they rented out was up here above the shop. They had someone living up here for a long period of time. The stairs are new, but the apartment, as you will see, if we could see, it's getting dark and there's no lights up here or anything. It's rough. I just peered my head in here once. It is something to look at. Anybody home? And that's about all I'm gonna do because I'm very superstitious and there is 100% a ghost living in there. The problem is, it gets worse. I've never looked inside of this thing. It is in terrible, terrible shape. Now that I've closed on the property, I am going to peer my head in quickly for y'all, but I mean, the stairs are even gone. So let's peer our head in, see what we see. Absolutely not. Not doing it. Oh my goodness. One, whatever ghost is living in there died in there. It is pungent. If I was going to continue that endeavor for you guys, I'd be puking on camera because, wow, that... So, plans for that place. It is absolutely 100% getting torn down. And a funny story about that, I already had that plan. I mean, there's no way I would ever sell this property with that eyesore sitting there. But the family member that was selling the property was explaining to me, you know, the history or whatever, and the fact that, like, the township doesn't allow mobile homes like that on, you know, whatever this whole stretch of the township is, like what it's zoned as and everything. But since that one has been here for so long, it's grandfathered in. And she was talking it up about like how you could go in there and renovate it and rent it out or whatever, like opportunity for income and stuff. And I'm just sitting there smiling and you know, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, there is no way. At this point, I hadn't even been inside of it. Not a chance that thing is worth even remotely trying to salvage. It is absolute garbage. It's got to be canned. You know, there is nothing savable about that place. And of course, now after setting foot in it, one big toe worth of my foot in it, I can definitely confirm not even remotely worth trying to salvage. Wow. I'm sure those of you that are familiar with the smell of dead anything inside of a small room that just gets cooked out in the summer, that was not pleasant at all. There's a lot of you out there that are going to be calling me a sissy and that would love to see the content of an abandoned mobile home. But I'm sorry, we're just not doing that here. That's not what we're about. And mainly because I am a sissy. I am not walking into that place. It is bad. Anyway, maybe I'll muster up some gusto when it's a little bit brighter outside, and maybe when the weather turns and whatever's rotting in there is done rotting, maybe I'll get a little bit of footage for you guys sometime else. But today ain't gonna be that day, child. That basically wraps up the grand tour Again, I want to thank all of you that are subscribed to the channel, that have been hanging around, sticking this out, this little lull period out with me. I really appreciate it. And like I said, from now moving forward, we're going to be hitting it hard and getting a lot of projects done because everything is going to be here. And a lot of my wasted time was messing around in between my house and my boss's properties and so on, not having power out there, working out in the elements at home, which I'm pretty much prepared to do here too, but at least I'm gonna be, you know, here, all in one place. You know what I'm saying. I also want to get your opinion on what you want to see, because the nature of this place, it is a huge open door for me with the channel and content that I can create. I am at the very core of this channel. We are a mechanically based show. So it's going to be heavy equipment and cars, heavy equipment and classic cars, and it's always going to be that. But what I would like to hear your thoughts on is what you would like to see as far as homesteading goes, and what you're going to allow me to dip into on this channel when it comes to that portion of it. I'm not going to shift this channel into, you know, DIY woodworking projects or anything like that, but what I personally have an interest in doing is using the equipment and trucks for general purpose projects on the ranch. You know what I mean? Using the heavy equipment for doing things and creating content around that is what I would like to do. If I hear a resounding no to that suggestion, then I will respect that and keep this channel just mechanically based. No homesteading projects or anything like that. Maybe entertain the idea of creating a second channel for projects like that, or something, you know, along those lines. Who knows? But I'd like to hear what you guys think. Weigh in for me, please. I'd really appreciate it. My battery died, of course. Anyway, with that, that's pretty much all I have here for the new Nock Ranch and all of the future plans for what we're doing here.
Hi, honey. What were you doing? Were you taking a nap? Sure, everyone would have liked seeing you walk around with me out here, but you were busy napping.
While I was busy yapping. Apologies for all of the yapping on this episode. I understand that's probably not what a lot of you want to be watching, but that's the nature of what we're doing here. I'm updating you on what we got going on, and we're gonna jump right back into the mechanical stuff, I promise. With that, I think that wraps this up. Thank you all for sticking around with me and watching. I will see you all in the next one. Like I said, we got big projects coming up. Probably gonna start off with a little one that I just got to get wrapped up, so apologies ahead of time for that, but it'll be, you know, it'll be something. The next big project is going to be coming home soon. Like I said, I already have that recorded and edited. It's going to be a multi-part project, and you're going to be seeing a lot of that piece of equipment here at the ranch. So stick around. A lot of good stuff coming up. With that, I'm going to bring this one to a close. Thank you all again. Can't say it enough. Please keep watching, subscribe, like the video, all that fun stuff. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, the Tiki-Takis. You know the drill. But with that, I hope you all enjoy your morning. I will see you all in the next one, but always remember, don't be afraid to grab that wrench and get after yourself. I'll see you next time.